Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After the Dark show for February 2nd, 2024. We're going to be talking about, I guess we'll see. It's the Super Bowl bye week. The game is not for another 10 days, but we're going to be discussing the games from the conference championship round, and also some other random stuff, I suppose. Joined, as always, on Thursday by Quacky T with Tommy. Quacky, how's it going?
Oh, Walt, this show. It might as well be called, our lament, the Walter and Quacky lament. Just thinking about some of the tough losses that we've dealt. The Lions losing the game outright probably hurt me since I held that future for them to win the Super Bowl. That game hurt me more than like games my own teams have been involved in. But luckily I ended up hedging with Detroit plus 7.5. So that put a Band-Aid on it, but it was. Even though essentially we broke even with our picks, it was a tough week for sure. So I'm sure we'll dive deeper into each game individually, but tough week. But
yeah, it was pretty brutal. Both games felt like it could have gone either way. Both teams let us slip away, and we'll get into it. But it was quite agonizing, especially at the end when Detroit blew the 17-point lead. And also, I said this on Tuesday, but when the Lions had that 17-point lead at halftime, my thought was like, maybe I should hedge with the 49ers money line right now, whatever it is. But I was putting my son to bed, and it just like slipped my mind, and just never got around to it. So didn't get that, but at least we did get the covers. That was nice, but still, it was very, very upsetting, those results. But yeah, we'll get into that and a lot of other stuff. So please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that mean a lot to us. We are 62 shy of 4,000 subs, so please hit subscribe. Or I'm going to have to beg on Twitter. Although Kenny said yesterday that might be an incentive for people to not hit subscribe. So maybe I won't beg on Twitter. So there you go. Also, if you really want to help support the show, please consider super chats. We make like a $1.50 an episode now. That is, it's Q1, so companies aren't advertising. So any help would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, if you guys have any comments or questions, just leave them. It doesn't have to be about football, or we'll answer everything, or at least I will. I don't want to get Tom in trouble, but I don't care about getting in trouble with myself. So I'll answer anything. So yeah, I don't know where you want to begin, Tom. John says happy Groundhog Day. Yeah. If you find yourself repeating this day over and over again, just be nice to everyone and hope you move on to February 3rd.
Being from Pennsylvania, did you ever go out to see Punxsutawney Phil? I never did. I grew up in Central PA. I feel like I should have. I mean, I guess I still could, but
no, because it's nonsense. Like, why would you...
I don't disagree. I just didn't think that was what you're going to say.
Some rat's going to tell me what the weather's going to be.
Like, why are we going to disturb him? Like, pull him out. And yeah, you're going to wait out there in the cold. It's freezing out there, man. Like you'll probably catch a cold. Like we were saying, just so some guy can go with the groundhog. He doesn't even want to be there.
We have meteorologists who study this stuff for their livelihoods, and they can't get it right. Like weather's impossible to predict. There's some rat's going to tell us. Like, okay, yeah, sure.
I never can remember what it was. Like, isn't it essentially the same thing? If he sees the shadow, 6 more weeks of winter. And if he doesn't, then spring will start in 6 weeks or something. Like, it's almost like, isn't it almost like the same?
It's the same thing. And it never pans out. Or like he always sees a shadow. There's always 6 more months of winter, of course. Like it's never like, oh, spring's going to start tomorrow. No, never.
Yeah, 6 more months. I think it's 6 weeks.
Then the rat is Al Gore. Then well, Al Gore's man bear pig, actually. Didn't Bill de Blasio like killed the groundhog? I think they had a groundhog, and like he dropped the groundhog and the groundhog died or something like that. Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So what is that? What does that tell you about the weather if the mayor kills the groundhog? Mike says Dan Quinn to the Commandos. I keep thinking about the Bills and Packers dismantling the Dallas defense. that was some hire that the Redskins made to bring in Dan Quinn. You think that like after it's like these teams are hiring these like young coaches, and the Redskins are like, I have an idea. Let's hire a guy who had a losing record after his offense coordinator left him on a team in the NFC South. This has never happened before. Oh wait, they did that with Ron Rivera. They brought in Rivera from the Panthers and he failed. Now they brought in Dan Quinn, another defensive coach from the NFC South. He failed before. Like this is not like I don't know if like the Redskins were told like this is a 2-for-1 deal. It's like, hey, if you hire Dan Quinn, you also get Michael Parsons. Like of course like anyone to hire him, but like it's that I don't understand that hire at all. That was easily the worst hire of the offseason. Jacob and I talked about the coaching hires on Tuesday, and I'm sure he would agree. I don't know if you'd give him an F like I did, but it was pretty bad. They're Hicksrita. what I think one of my favorite movies of all time. I think I've watched Groundhog Day more than any other movie that's not a Disney movie, and I say Disney movies because I've watched like all of them a million times with my son recently. But
that's not Walter goes down there with the Mickey Mouse ears and buy every year.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's like, I mean, if you have kids, that makes sense, but like let's not unpack that. You've seen Groundhog Day more than any other movie. I'm embarrassed to admit I've actually never seen it.
You've never seen Groundhog Day? Oh my god!
Yeah,
it's one of the best movies of all time. I'm sure you know the premise.
Yeah, and Bill Murray and everything.
Yeah, he keeps repeating the same day over and over again, and like people have tried it. People have tried to calculate how many times he repeated the day, and people have said it's like 40 years he's repeated the same day. But like it's a classic, man. You gotta watch it. So
no, and I know there's just like like some movies you just don't get around to, and that was well, actually there's like a lot of classic movies I haven't seen.
Oh yeah,
actually, but no, I should watch it. Maybe I'll watch it tomorrow on Groundhog Day. Wouldn't that'd be perfect?
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be nice. Mike confirming. Yeah, he dropped it and injured the winter weather rat, and I think they had to euthanize it. He killed the groundhog.
Good going, man. Jeez.
Kind of emblematic of his tenure as mayor. Groundhog Day, the movie, could be betting the Patriots, Jets, and Smith Falcons this year. Yeah. Seriously, especially the Patriots early in the year. It's like every week is a loss, and we just kept doing it over and over again. It's so brutal.
We're naturally flowing into the lament here. This is good. This is good.
Yes. Alan says Washington should have brought in Arthur Mustache Smith to cement worst coaching team. Yeah, that'd be something to add to Dan Quinn. That'd be great. John says, do you think Drake May pulls an Eli Manning? So, I mean, his option, like what are his options though? Like it's either Washington and New England. Like both seem unappealing. Actually, like Washington seems better because they at least have Terry McLaurin. Jahan Dotson, I guess, is he has upside. They have Brian Robinson. They're okay. But like, what do the Patriots have? Like Kendrick Bourne's coming off torn ACL. Hunter Henry's a free agent. Damari Douglas, I guess, is their best receiver who's healthy. Like, just I'd actually want to go to Washington over New England. Like, at least like Bill Belichick was there last year, but he's not there anymore. Now it's like Gerard Mayo, who's virtue signaling and like his introductory press conference. So John says Bill Murray's best movie, and that says something. Yeah, I think it's the one of the best movies of all time. You got to watch the time.
Okay, yeah, I will then. I knew of its prowess. I just never. I guess as we found on my stream the other day, I haven't seen like a lot of good shows. So
yeah, Kim Mickey was saying Caddyshack. Yeah, I've seen both. I think Groundhog Day is better, but both are amazing though. I'm not going to knock either. And he also has called me simpleton, but Kansas City has started each playoff game in the lead, and the Niners have given up the lead. How about Kansas City to win the first quarter? I got them at +102 the other day. That's a good thought. The thing with Kansas City, as I mentioned on Tuesday, is like they have this habit of doing all of their scoring in the first half or second half and not scoring in the other half. Like we saw that in the AFC Championship. They scored all their points in the first half, or at least, they did. And then they didn't score any points in the second half. Remember that AFC Championship game loss to the Bengals. They did all their scoring in the first half, then scored in the second half. This is something that they've done a lot over the past couple of years. I don't know why, but it's a habit. So like I think it's a good idea. Like they could have come out sharp, especially Andy Reid, like scripting the first 15 plays or whatever he does. Like I think that's a good thought. Like even if you don't like the Chiefs to cover plus 102 in the first quarter, I think that's a good play. I think.
Yeah, I like that your thought process there, Eagle.
Yeah. And the Ghostbusters also. Yeah, I mean, all these movies are awesome, but I would rank I'd rank Groundhog Day over that too. Alan says, seriously though, any chance the rumor is accurate that Andy Reid retires with a win? Maybe Belichick tries for that if it's open. I haven't heard that rumor. I don't like. Well, I've heard like people like theorize about it. I don't know if it's a rumor though. Like people are like, oh, maybe he'll retire. And I actually thought Andy Reid was older than he is. I thought he was like nearing 70 or 71 or something like that. But he's only 65. So like I feel like he can coach for another five years or maybe more if he wanted to. But I mean, if he wants to do something else with his life, like now would be a good time to retire if he wins his third Super Bowl. You know. Alan says San Francisco scores a touchdown on the first drive at about 65%. Okay, that's interesting too. So maybe that first quarter bet doesn't sound as appealing. Like both these coaches are really good at scripting plays, you know. So maybe the play is the over in the first quarter. Maybe do that.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, Walt, and this is probably an unpopular opinion. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the Super Bowl.
Just not gonna watch. Are you gonna watch Groundhog Day instead?
I might. I'll definitely watch Groundhog Day over the Super Bowl halftime show. That I know for sure. But like, I can't stand the 49ers, and I know it's mostly because I'm a Packer. Like, no matter what, I'm gonna be irritated at who wins. I really, this is the first time I can ever remember in my lifetime that I wasn't like even a little bit excited for the Super Bowl. I take no pleasure in reporting this, but I don't know. Like, what was it? I mean, I guess we'll just open this up now. Like, what was it about this year? Like, there were so many like terrible playoff performances. Like the Eagles, the Eagles, that was one of the most pathetic displays I've ever seen. Their game against Tampa, it was one of the most pathetic displays I've ever seen in the playoffs in my entire lifetime. The Bills gave the game away. The Ravens gave the game away. The Lions gave the game. Like, what the hell happened? You know, it's just. I guess I'm just so surprised to see Kansas City here, based on what we've seen them do this season. Especially after that Christmas game against the Raiders. And I just feel like, especially the last two games, they really caught a lot of breaks. I guess I'm just surprised. I really did not think, I thought either the Bills or the Ravens would beat them. So yeah, I can't remember a playoffs like this. So, which I guess makes it interesting for the casual viewer, but you know, not me.
I think the only playoff, I remember that is sort of like this was in 2002 when they were in the same weekend. Two teams blew leads of 17. It was the Browns had a 17-point lead over the Steelers, and they lost. That was like the Kelly Holcomb 400 passing yard performance in Pittsburgh. And then later that weekend, the Giants had a 17-point lead over the 49ers, and they blew that too. But yeah, this is something else. Like I felt like all these teams could have won. Like Buffalo easily could have beaten Kansas City. Baltimore easily could have beaten Kansas City. Like if Zay Flowers doesn't taunt for no reason, and then if he doesn't fumble into the end zone, like there's a good chance the Ravens win that game because the Chiefs offense did nothing in the second half. They didn't score a single point. Like Baltimore has seemed to figure them out. It was just like Lamar Jackson threw that horrible interception after that, and Flowers fumbled. Like the Ravens easily could have won, and then the Lions with the 17-point lead. It's like first Josh Reynolds drops that fourth down pass, and then the guy drops the interception that magically falls into the hands of Brandon Ayuk, and then on the next drive, Jahmyr Gibbs fumbles right away. The Niners score a quick touchdown, and then Laporta drops a pass. Reynolds drops a pass on third down. The Lions just shot themselves in the foot. It was Murphy's Law for the Lions in that second half. Just like
and that catch by Ayuk, off the house, I was like, you cannot be serious right now. When it was funny, my cousin texted me after the game. He said that Ayuk catch off the face mask. He goes, "You knew the game was over then." And I was like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was. You know what? I was like, I think this game's over then, and then Gibbs fumbled. I'm like, yeah, this game's over.
Yeah,
like, it's like confirmed it, you know. It
it's
was brutal.
I just can't believe like the sequence in which it went down too, because I was never comfortable at any point because I know better,
Right.
you know, I know better, but I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better start to that game for us. And then even like at the end, like we thought Dan Campbell was going to go for it. He kicked the field goal at the end. I was like, okay, good. Like looks like he's going to do it. You know, I remember saying like that was the right call. Good call. Good call. I was like, okay, like maybe he's going to play it. You know.
But they ran the ball on third down on that drive, which is like the worst thing you could have done. Just because like that ended it, because they would have had one more timeout had they not done that.
It was just like a parade of follies.
Yep.
You know, it was really. Go ahead. Give me 5 seconds. I gotta open the. You know, dogs like they never know if they want to be in or out. So you can keep talking.
I'll read some comments. Kansas City scored the first drive to close 100% in the playoffs. So John's going opening touchdown prop. I don't know what the odds are, but it sounds good to me. I think that could easily hit. But so like it depends. I guess it depends on what number you get. So Stevie says, will the couple announce their first pregnancy at the Super Bowl? Real swift prop bet. Is it? I know there are like a lot of marriage proposals. The props that are happening, and I could actually see that happening, but it is it's gonna annoy some people, and some people are just gonna watch that. It's kind of dumb. Baltimore not running the ball, yes, that was stupid. The Chiefs' weakness on defense is run defense, and the Ravens ran like 6 times. It's like, what was that game plan? I have no idea what the Ravens are doing. And Lamar Jackson scrambled only 8 times too. It's like, all right, let's turn Lamar Jackson into a pocket passer. It's a good idea. The least interesting Super Bowl lead up to me was Rams Patriots Part 2. This game reminds me of that, I guess he says. Though at least I don't hate the Chiefs. That was another Super Bowl that really shouldn't have happened because the Saints were robbed in that NFC Championship. So it should have been Patriots Saints, which would have been way more interesting than like watching Jared Goff get the snap count in that game.
That was a tough one to watch. They didn't score a touchdown to the fourth quarter in that game. Sonny Michel scored the only touchdown.
That's right. And I think the prop that will Tom Brady throw an interception on his first pass hit in that game too. Which was like 70-1 or something like that. It was crazy. Not that I bet it. I know someone who bet it, and like it's like, wow, that's very crazy. Mike says compromise. Watch Groundhog Day, then the last quarter of the Super Bowl. That could work, but I like the idea of watching it on Groundhog Day better. Quacky is 10 days to get his mind right.
Yeah, true. Yes, I'll probably cave eventually, you know, and actually watch the Super Bowl, but I don't know. I'm just you know, I have to project my emotions onto all of you wonderful viewers here. It's been a frustrating year on many fronts. I guess the thing about the Lions' future, it wasn't. I mean, obviously it would have been the payout too, but the fact that like we had a shot like at picking the team like before the season, picking the team that has just been literally horrible, you know, for their entire existence. Like that would have been a cool story. I think that like that's what bummed me out more than like, you know, like because I ended up hedging and you know I was fine, but. It's still hurt. I never thought I would like hurt like that, you know. And that's I use the term hurt loosely, but over like a team that's not even my own.
Yeah, it feels like the people who bet the Lions need this buy more than anyone else. You know, I definitely need this buy as well. John says like this year's MVP. I don't think anyone deserves to win it. If like Lamar Jackson, I assume is going to win MVP. Like. What do you do if you're Lamar Jackson? Like, if I were him, I would just give it back. I'd be like, after that performance in the AFC Championship, I don't deserve this. And I said this on Tuesday, like, I don't know why MVP doesn't encompass playoffs, or at least like heading into the Super Bowl. Because right now, I think MVP should go to Patrick Mahomes because like he has dragged this team like kicking and screaming into the Super Bowl. Like, think about how bad the supporting cast has been all year. Like, they dropped so many passes, they struggled the block, receivers running bad routes. Like Travis Kelce looked like a corpse for the entire regular season. He's been great in the playoffs, but like in the regular season, he looked done. So Mahomes just has gotten this team there. Like it's all him and Andy Reid, really. So I think Mahomes should be MVP, but they're not including the playoffs, so he's not going to win it.
Yeah, it's so tough. You know, but they try to emphasize that it's a regular season award, which it's supposed to be, but it never feels the same. You know, remember when Dirk Nowitzki got MVP? What was that, 2007? And the Mavericks they were
that's right. I remember
they were the 1 seed. They were the 1 seed, and they lost to the Golden State Warriors in the first round, 8 seed Warriors, and when Don Nelson was their coach, I believe, and then Dirk had to go get the MVP trophy, and he was, you know. That would suck, you know, if you went out on such a low note, then to get the MVP, it's like, well, I would feel like, you know, so discouraged. But
yeah, it's so underwhelming. Like, how do you accept that award? Really, it's just Seahawks fans saying feels like the NFL is starting to get kind of boring on the top. So it seems like the last 4 or 5 years, basically the same teams. I mean, it's kind of been like that for a while. Like, because you know, in the Super Bowl, it's either been Tom Brady or Peyton Manning from the AFC. And it's usually been someone different in the NFC, but I guess it's worse now because like the Niners have almost gotten there every year, you know, and like it's been Chiefs for a while, like 3 out of the past 4 years. So I get what you're saying for sure. Yeah, Brady's gone now. Alan says, I don't think anyone can feel like Kansas City's the class of the AFC. Maybe the AFC was just very mediocre. Baltimore beat few teams with healthy QB healthy starters. Yeah, I agree with that. Like the Chiefs just sucked all year, like, and yet they're in the Super Bowl. Like I told this to you before we started recording. Like if someone came to me on Christmas night after the Chiefs lost to the Raiders, and they told me the Chiefs are going to be in the Super Bowl, I'm like, no way, you're crazy, no way. And yet they're here, and it just doesn't feel deserved because they were so bad in the regular season. They had 2 great weeks. I'm not counting that Miami game because Miami was so banged up and it was like 10 degrees. But like they got so lucky against Buffalo and Baltimore, and yet they're here. This matchup feels underwhelming. It does not feel like the 2 best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I like the way that you put that, Alan. That you don't think anyone can feel like KC is the class of the AFC. That's well put, and I definitely agree. It just, I don't know. It just seems like it's going to be like this year's winner is going to kind of be forgettable. You know, that happens in every sport. You know, you have like a more like forgettable champion every now and then. It does happen, and I feel like this is going to be one of those years. It is for me, like as I expressed my discourse earlier.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Just say it's kind of funny that the most meathead head coach of all time is now the face of the pro analytic crowds. Yeah, it's true. And yeah, like people are like, "Oh, I hate analytics." It's like I don't, except for the running on 3rd down. Like I don't disagree with anything that Dan Campbell did. Like Josh Reynolds has to catch the ball. Like he was thrown. Yeah, the ball was like not perfect, but it was there. He should have caught it. Like he's a professional receiver. It was right there. Like he should have gotten it. So I don't. And plus, like the field goal felt like 50-50 to me. You know, it's like 48-yard field goal that like non-elite kicker. If you have Justin Tucker, sure, go kick the ball. But like, their kicker was not great. So I didn't mind that. How would you like to go to a casino with 4th down, Dan Campbell?
Better have a limit on your daily ATM withdrawal if you do that.
I know, right?
How'd you like to go to a casino?
It's doubling down every time. Seahawks fan, I feel like San Francisco is going to come back after the first failed 4th down conversion. Yeah, that was kind of the beginning of the end. Like when they failed, I'm like, uh-oh. But I still felt confident, and then that Ayak play happened. I'm like, oh, crap, we're going to lose, aren't we? And then the Gibbs one will happen. I'm like, yeah, we're going to lose. That's like how it felt.
The wheels really fell off. It was it's tough to watch.
Yeah, Lions watched Chargers, Jaguars in the playoffs. Yeah, Campbell also had them watch the Falcons, Patriots. Yes. Yeah, that's what they did the entire week. K Meekin says, you mean like a Seahawks fan after Russell Wilson threw that interception at the end of the Super Bowl? Yeah, that was so bad.
I feel like what like fan base, real quick, we can think about it too. I don't mean to put you on the spot. Like, what fan base has like the play that like hurts, like has to hurt them? I feel like I feel bad for Seahawks fans for that play. Like I feel like that play had to hurt like a fan base more than, I mean, I guess like maybe like Bill Buckner with the Red Sox or something. You know, like I wonder which, like, I guess what we're trying to determine is which fan base has gone through the most pain. But because I remember as a Packers fan, I mentioned this last week. that game against the Seahawks, the NFC Championship game, that really hurt. But I know it didn't hurt as much as the throw it on the one to Ricardo Laquette. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a tough one, Eagle.
You got wide right for the Bills. I think that.
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty iconic. Like I mean there are certainly other ones. Swifty Cheap's on a roll since Kadarius Toney is out. Cement hands Kadarius Toney's out. Yeah. Yeah, it's, that's like addition by subtraction. It's just like an obvious case of that. Wouldn't Spags have been a better hire than Quinn if you're going with a defensive-minded retread? I know he was bad with the Rams, but they were a mess of a franchise at the time. Yeah, I think that would be better than Dan Quinn. I don't know what Dan Quinn has done to warrant another job. Like, he had Micah Parsons in Dallas, and like in big games, that Dallas defense wasn't great. And so like you hired him like for what? Like the Falcons went to the Super Bowl under him, but after Kyle Shanahan left, I think the Falcons were like 23-40 under, or is it, yeah, it's 23-40 under Dan Quinn after Kyle Shanahan left. So like, what is the upside here? I don't understand this hire at all. It's I don't want to keep repeating this, but it just it was like an atrocious hire, like by all accounts. Kansas City lost to the Raiders, and San Francisco got whooped by Baltimore. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, it was it's quite the Christmas for these two Super Bowl participants. At least like the San Francisco Baltimore game felt fluky because like there were so many like tipped interceptions, and it seemed to like snowball in San Francisco. So like I walked away from that game thinking like I think the Niners just got unlucky, but the Raiders like legitimately like beat the Chiefs. Like that was just a beating. Like their defense just engulfed anything that the Chiefs offense was going to do. And Aidan O'Connell, what do you like? He didn't complete a pass right in the final three quarters, and the Raiders won. That's just like an embarrassing game to lose that way. Here we are, the AFC in the Super Bowl. If Miami had to run it out to the Super Bowl defense healthy, it would have been different. Same for Buffalo. Sue's comment reminds me of Austin Powers stand on 5 at Blackjack.
I also like to live dangerously.
Yeah. John says Ben Johnson's only demand is they change the name back to the Redskins. Yeah, maybe that was it. Like he decided not to take the job. But yeah, they really should do that. It was kind of dumb that they're not. Wide right forward pass, 13 seconds. Yeah, 13 seconds for the Bills. Yeah, poor Seahawks fans.
Fair enough, John. Fair enough.
The Bills have had the worst. Music City Miracle, of course.
Oh yeah, God.
Yeah. I think Tuck Rule haunts Raiders fans. Yes,
up there too.
Yeah, and like that would have stopped the whole Patriots dynasty. Like it was crazy. How, like the implications that had, and like that loss. That loss catapulted John Gruden to the Buccaneers because, like, if the Raiders win that game, I think they beat the Steelers in the AFC Championship, and then I don't know how that Rams game goes in the Super Bowl, but like if the Raiders end up winning the Super Bowl, like John Gruden's not going to the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers are probably not winning the Super Bowl the next year. So,
what do you think about I've heard a lot of people say that this happened. I can't even think of who the Raiders coach was when they lost to the Bucs in the Super Bowl. But they said that he threw the game plan out like the night before or like 2 nights before or something, and that they were like there was no way they're going to lose. Like I feel like if you're a Raiders fan, that's got to hurt too. If you either way, your team loses the Super Bowl, it's going to hurt. But if it went out like that, and their center like went missing, I can't think of their names now, but.
Well, Bill Callahan was the coach of the Raiders. His son actually just got hired by the Bengals. What's his name? Barrett Robbins was the center for the Raiders who went missing. And Rich Gannon was I don't know how I confused that with John Gruden. Rich Gannon, the quarterback of the Raiders, he was like OCD like to the extreme. And like the fact that his center was missing, like he just freaked out and he just had like a horrible performance. But like on top of that, the Buccaneers knew all the plays because the Raiders didn't change them because like John Gruden was the coach the year before, and so they like I remember it was a quote I think from Keyshawn Johnson, and he's like, oh, this is just like practice because like they were running the same exact things the Raiders were. And the Buccaneers knew everything they were doing. And like when you put all those three things together, yeah, one of the like most lopsided Super Bowls in NFL history. When they're like really like those teams were evenly matched. Like I think that like if you take out any coaching edge, and if Barrett Robbins doesn't disappear, and if Bill Callahan's not an idiot, like you probably have like a really competitive game between those two teams. But like, yeah, you just got a lopsided game because of those three factors.
Well, there was I think the Bucs had 2 pick sixes, and maybe it was 3. Yeah. I know for sure there's 2. One like ended the game. I think one was by Derek. Remember Derek Brooks?
Yeah, Dexter Jackson had one too.
Dexter Jackson had one too.
Yeah.
There used to be this old like in between the game, like this United Way commercial, and it was with Derek. It showed like the NFL players volunteering. He was volunteering with United Way, and he had these kids. I'll never forget this commercial. It's Derek Brooks. He's like conducting them on a bus. He's like, "Who's your favorite player?" Mr. Derek Brooks. Okay, you know it. Yes, yeah. Yes. No, but I always liked it. I mean, I always liked him as a player, and then I like as a kid. I don't know. Like that commercial always made me chuckle. I was thinking.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. And like that actually, like whenever I hear Derek Brooks' name, that jingle is
same. Oh man, yeah. That's awesome. I'm not sure I've met anyone else that remembers that. Why? I don't know why I'm surprised, but.
Yeah, Mike says Walt remembers everything, memory like an elephant. Well, Tom has a great memory as well. It's just like it's both a blessing and a curse because like I remember like all my embarrassing moments, like even from like high school, like I'll randomly remember like something stupid I said in 9th grade. I'm like, oh man, I'll be taking a shower like the other day. Like I'll remember that and like, oh, what a dumb thing to say. I was like 14. Yeah. Like who cares? Like people don't even remember it probably. Like it's still like it's so vivid in my brain. And like these things come up from time to time and like, oh man, what a dumb thing to say. And like for a second, I think like I'm in the moment, but like it was really 27 years ago. Like no one really cares.
That's interesting. I do the exact same thing.
Yeah,
but I just have to tell myself that like sometimes I'll say it out loud. The Walter football therapy family here.
Right.
No, but like I'll have to tell myself like no one remembers. Like it might as well not exist. No one remembers that, And that's the other thing about like having a good memory. Well, I have a good memory for things, but I'll forget what the hell I'm talking about halfway through the damn sentence.
Yeah.
But like having the other thing is like when people know you have a good memory, if you forget something, it's not your memory.
I know.
It's not like a perfect system,
Well, I feel like if I don't care about something, I just won't remember it, just because like it doesn't matter to me,
Yeah.
But like if I care about something at the time, like I will remember, like I'll remember everything about it, like the exact date and everything. But like if it's like something that I just don't care about, my wife will like rag me on this. She's like. It's like, oh, you forgot to take out the trash. Like, what happened to your memory? I'm like, like the trash is so mundane. Like taking it out, like I just doesn't like register in my brain.
It's not applicable across like all of life, So it's
exactly.
But anyhow.
Yeah. Cassandra's asking, what do you think about the Alex Van Pelt hire? I like it. He did a good job with the Browns as a coordinator. Not sure, like what are you coordinating really with the Patriots? Like, they're going to have a quarterback at number 3 overall, you would assume, but like they have so much work to do with the offense. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if it matters like who their coordinator is like in the next year or two, just because like the team's going to be so bad without Belichick, and like there's really no hope for the offense. I guess like you want some guy to develop the quarterback. I guess Alex Van Pelt's good for that. So like the hire's decent, but like. The Patriots are going to be so irrelevant the next couple of years. I think they're going to be the worst team in the NFL, at least until like 2026. It's going to be bad. Arthur Smith should have been hired as a defense coordinator because he can clearly stop in any aerial ground attack. Yeah, that's right. His alien mustache is pretty smart on defense. So, let's hear it. I think BB probably trades Bledsoe and starts Brady, even if they lose to the Raiders. Similar how the Niners handled the Lance Purdy situation. I don't know. It's like I probably. It's hard to say because like you don't know how Brady looked in practice and everything. When Bledsoe went down, it was week 2 of the 2021 season. What'd you say?
It was Mo Lewis on the Jets, right? That delivered the hit.
Yes.
That's right.
So it was at the time, like it wasn't even a given that Brady was going to start because like they had a quarterback named Michael Bishop who was like a scrambling quarterback, like super athletic guy, couldn't throw very well, but like I remember him like being able to like run really fast and everything, and I thought they were going to start him, and then and they announced Tom Brady. I'm like, oh wow, not Michael Bishop. And my friend NCAA Dan, who he used to do the college picks on the site, I asked him because he was a Patriots fan. He's like, yeah, I thought they're going to go with Michael Bishop too. I'm like, oh, this is weird. Who's this Tom Brady guy? Because like Brady wasn't the starter of Michigan. It was Brian Greasy. So yeah. So I mean, obviously they made the right decision because Michael Bishop, I don't think ever saw action in the NFL, but really like. It was like really. I mean, people thought it was going to be Bishop over Brady. So, yeah. I mean, obviously, Belichick saw something in practice. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right, Seahawks fan. I think that they might have done that if it's true that Belichick really saw something out of Brady in practice. Let's see, Bears double doink. Yeah, that was a brutal one for me because I had the Bears to win the Super Bowl. I think at like 100-1.
I did too.
Yeah, that was brutal. What's interesting is that Bledsoe never gets hurt and the Patriots make it to the wild card. Does Brady eventually get a chance to start, or is he cut, traded, goes there for a team? Yeah, I think he I think you're right that he gets traded and Brady starts. I think Belichick does that sort of move. He's like Belichick's pretty cocky. I think he would do that. Bears remember that block by Kuhn. Without that, the Packers would not have won. Yeah, they might trade for Fields and take Marvin Harrison Jr. The Patriots, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's a possibility. If they don't like Jaden Daniels or Drake May, I guess they could do that. I guess it makes sense, but like really, if you trade for Fields, like you're kind of telling yourself that like you can win now. And I don't know if the Patriots can do that because like their defense is going to be a lot worse without Belichick. And they still have some huge holes in the offensive line. And even if they take Harrison, like the receivers are still pretty weak. Like they don't have anyone outside of Harrison. Amari Douglas is okay. They still need like another receiver. They need a tight end if Hunter Henry's not re-signed. What do you do with Stevenson? Like he had a down year last year. And like I said, the defense is gonna be worse. So I don't think this really fixes it. Like I think the team that trades for Fields needs to win now. Like Atlanta makes a lot of sense for Fields because they almost made the playoffs this year. They're one win and a Tampa loss away from making the playoffs. So if they get Justin Fields, like they could easily take the NFC South. Like so, like Atlanta makes so much sense for Fields. I think the Raiders do too. Like the Raiders are close to the playoffs. I think they get their Fields probably. So like Atlanta, Vegas, I think are the two most logical teams. But I mean, if the Patriots are overconfident, then they could do it.
Are the Bears definitely going to trade him? Then
I think so. I mean, they have the top pick in the draft, so like they can take Caleb Williams, who's is a great quarterback prospect, and like I know some Bears fans don't want to give up Justin Fields, but like the thing is, like you have to pay Justin Fields now. It's contract year, and you have to pay him big bucks. If you take Caleb Williams, you're getting a quarterback on their rookie contract for 4 years, and that just opens up all the possibilities for your roster. Like you can sign all the top guys in free agency, and they already have a ton of cap space. So like they can resign Fields and like not get hit financially too badly. But like if they go with a rookie quarterback contract and have all that cap space, like they could sign like just legitimately like every top free agent, and the Bears could just be this juggernaut next year. That's why I like him at 40-1 to win the Super Bowl. Like they're going to be so much better than they were last year, and they're already good last year.
I guess I just think they would have. I mean, definitely merit to your points there with the cap. I didn't realize the contract came into play so as much as it did with Fields, but like I don't know. Like I feel like just from the eye test, like he was kind of developing more chemistry with the team, like with all the great pieces that the Bears have, and like we both think that they're going to be a lot better. Like, do you think they can get it done with like a rookie quarterback? I mean, I guess I feel like it would hurt in that way, but like for the future, certainly, like I mean, there's a lot more pros to it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased because I'm going to bet them to win the Super Bowl next year.
Well, I think they'd be a better version of the Texans with CJ Stroud this year. Okay. the Texans, like no one thought the Texans would make the playoffs. Actually, I remember throwing out Texans to make the playoffs at like plus 550. And
I
like,
remember you told me that.
And like I said that, and like the chat called me stupid. I didn't end up making the bet, so I can't say I'm like smart for recommending that. Like, I didn't do it. But I made the argument. I'm like, if CJ Stroud's good, then like the Texans have a chance. But like most people thought that was stupid, and like even I didn't think that was great enough to bet. But like the Bears are already there. Like they were so close to the playoffs this year. They didn't have that stupid like Darnell Mooney catches that pass. That Hail Mary, or if the Bears don't blow that lead against the Browns, you know, they were going to be alive in that final week of the regular season. So, and plus Justin Fields missed a handful of games, and also don't forget like Montez Sweat didn't get there until week 9. So like half the year they didn't have one of their best defensive players. So like they're going to be awesome, I think, even with a rookie quarterback. And Slew was talking about like, could the NFC North be deepest, toughest? Yeah, I think so. Like, like the Vikings look like the weakest team, and yet the Vikings are good. Like, it's going to be like a great division next year, I think. Mike saying Michael Bishop eventually became a Cardinal. Bad joke, but never made Pope.
You know what's dumb? What's funny, Mike, is that I was thinking the same. I was trying to come up with like a similar joke. So, well done, bravo.
Did he? Well, I want to know this. Did he actually go to the Cardinals, or like? I know you're making a joke about Bishops and everything, but like, like I want to actually know what happened to his career, because I remember him. He was.
I never even heard of the man.
Okay, yeah, he was on the Patriots. He went to the Packers actually for a year. Then he was. He played in NFL Europe for Frankfurt. Then he went to the CFL. Which seems like he'd be a good CFL quarterback because of his scrambling. So if the CFL, he played for the Toronto Argonauts, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Oh, and the Calgary Stampeders. And then he went back to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And he retired in 2011. I don't know what he's doing these days. Who knows? Wikipedia doesn't say this, but yeah, that's it.
Wow. He was torn all over Canada. Nicely done.
He was. He threw for 3,000 yards for Winnipeg in 2009. Nice. I don't know if that's. It seems like a lot. I don't know if that's good in the CFL, but I don't know anything about the CFL beyond the team names. Cam Eagle says Brock Heward's brother Damon was on the Patriots and told him in that practice there's a QB that was absolutely amazing, a man named Brady. It's interesting. I remember the Heward brothers. Yeah, that was that makes sense. That makes sense that like Brady would be so great in practice that they would just give him the job over Bishop. Seahawks fans saying I would rather have Wilson than Fields to win now. He's a more polished passer. I agree with that. Yeah, Fields is a great scrambler and everything. But it just I don't know. Like he's like sometimes his passing's so erratic. He's so inconsistent. John asking Zach Wilson or Russell Wilson. I'd probably prefer the former. It's gotten bad for Russell Wilson, man. He was so bad last year. Like his stats are good, but like he compiled all of his good stats when they were down 2 touchdowns in every game. Like he just did nothing when it was close, and like he would just screw up. And like his best like his MO is like hey, I'm gonna be terrible, and we're gonna be down 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then I'm gonna be great, and I'm gonna draw to within 7, and then I'm gonna throw an interception to lose the game. It's like that's what he does every time.
You know what's interesting about Russell Wilson is like I have no reason to dislike him. You know, like he seems like a decent like person, but like I always thought like even in his heyday with the Seahawks, like he was like people would like like he's elite and stuff, and I was always like I swear like he's not that good. Like I never thought he was like I think he's definitely solid, you know, in his time with the Seahawks, but I always thought he was very overrated. And then he came to the Broncos. He was like completely, you know, obviously he's older and whatnot, but it's just like that's kind of what I always imagined. Like that's where what we've seen with him on the Broncos is where I kind of always thought like that's like the quarterback he was. But I always thought he was overrated. So it's just funny how everything panned out. God, like last year before the season started, people were saying like they were talking Super Bowl with Russell Wilson on there now.
Hey, I was one of them. I thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl. I thought it was going to be like Rams getting Matthew Stafford. like one of those steals.
I thought they were going to be solid too, and then I remember we took the Seahawks against them in the first game.
Yep,
that was and then after that it was all. But remember, like no, like they'll recover, and it's just the team is so weird. Like if there's a way to screw it up, they'll find a way. So anyhow, I digress.
Yeah, I really wonder what Denver's going to do quarterback. Really, that's a big question mark too. And maybe they trade for Fields. I don't know.
Bring back Brock Osweiler, huh?
Yeah. John says I go Kirk Cousins or Mayfield before Russell Wilson. Yeah, I 100% agree. Out saying Fields was year 3. They don't have to extend out. Is that true? And then, like, why are they talking about his contract? Like, everyone's saying, oh, they have to extend Fields. I don't know. I feel like everyone's saying that. He just finished year 3, so it's year 4 coming up. So, I mean, his contract is coming up very soon. So, like, they have to make a decision on it. So, Seahawks fans saying, if I was Bears, I'd find a younger veteran, trade for him. Yeah, I think if I'm the Bears, I trade Justin Fields, I draft Caleb Williams, and then I sign like an Andy Dalton or something like that. Just in case like Caleb Williams is struggles to begin his career. I doubt he does though, but because he's saying I don't trust the Bears to develop a quarterback, but I don't know. It's gonna, I think it's gonna be tough to miss on Caleb Williams.
During my life, it almost does seem like it's illegal for the Bears to have a good offense. Like in my lifetime, like when have they? I mean, even when they like went to the Super Bowl, Rex Grossman,
yeah,
and then when they made it to the NFC Championship game against Green Bay 4 years later, I mean, it was Cutler and like they were the 2 seed, but it wasn't really, they weren't a flashy offense. So I don't disagree. They're a Seahawks fan. I think there's merit there.
Don't forget about Fat Jim Miller in 2001. When there's like this 300-pound quarterback quarterbacking the team. He wasn't that fat, but like he was pretty husky.
Jim Miller, who did he play for?
There's the Bears quarterback in 2001 when the Bears won 13-3 and they got to the divisional round of the playoffs and the Eagles came in and smoked them. Like that Bears team, they got so lucky in so many late games. Like they had a bunch of interceptions to end games. And they had racked up a bunch of wins, but like their quarterback was Jim Miller, and he's like he was pushing 250. He was a pretty heavy guy.
Fat Jim Miller.
Yeah,
it just has a good ring to it. I don't have no memory of that, and I was watching football closely at the time. Jeez, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, that was the game before the Eagles lost to the Rams in the NFC Championship.
Oh, right.
That was our first foray into the NFC Championship. Of 4.
Yeah, that was the string of what they lost 3 out of 4. Well, they lost 4 out of 5 in that era, but
yeah. Alex saying won't be surprised if the Packers end up last in the division next year. No cookie. Jordan Love could have a sophomore slump. Yeah, I guess that's certainly possible given how good the division is. Like really, you can probably order those teams. And you order 1 through 4, probably not the Lions. Although, like, if they have a ton of injuries, then I suppose that could also happen. But I don't know. Like, I feels like I think the arrow is pointing up for the Packers because, like, Love was so inconsistent. But you have to remember that, first of all, Aaron Jones was not healthy for most of the year. And second, the receivers are so young, too. So, like, they were bound to make some mistakes. But I like how they're all going to grow together. Like, all the receivers and tight ends had 2 or fewer years of experience. Like, now they're going to have more experience with Love, too. It just feels like they have a ton of upside. And I like LaFleur as a coach. So, well, I think that's possible. I think it's more likely that the Packers have a great year and are like going deep into the playoffs again.
Yeah, I mean, I saw more slumps possible for sure, especially with some of the inconsistencies we saw. But I mean, all the receivers and tight ends are rookies or second-year players. Mm-hmm. I just feel like barring, I mean, I know I'm biased because I'm a Packers fan, but I just feel like barring some pretty big injuries, the future is definitely bright with them. I don't think. This year was necessarily a fluke. I can't remember what I told you earlier in the season, Walt, but I think like 6 of their losses were by like a total of, I'm just kind of pulling up, but it wasn't far from this. Like 5 of their losses were by a total of 13 points or something crazy like that. So, they could have easily been, 12-5 or even 13-4, mm-hmm. If Love, gets it done on the game-winning drive. And it's his first year starting. I think I still think they'll be pretty good,
Yeah.
But I might be biased. Mike Hartle, Bishop, played for the Vatican. That was good.
John saying Jim Druckenmiller. No, there was a Jim Druckenmiller, but I'm talking about Jim Miller, the quarterback for the Bears in 2001. He beat out Shane Matthews as the quarterback there, the Shane Matthews band, as Chris Berman used to call it.
Shane Matthews. Oh, Slew there is talking about the late great Jared Lorenzen, the hefty lefty.
Hefty Lefty was heavier than Jim Miller, but I like Jim Miller was, if you're ranking like fattest quarterbacks, like by fatness, like Jim Miller was number 2.
By fatness. Yeah, Jared Lorenzen, he was on that. He was the backup for the Lions in 2007.
Yeah, no, I sorry, I made a mistake. A huge mistake. Jamarcus Russell was number 2.
Oh, that's right.
Then Jim Miller is number 3. Sorry. I can't believe I forgot Jamarcus Russell.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
So you're saying that's how I felt Quacky. He was a good system fit, but I struggled to see him as lead quarterback for a couple years.
Yeah, I just always thought he was. I remember like every other day, like Colin Cowherd is like stroking him. And it's like, dude, I mean, he's good, but not to be talked about this much. I didn't think, but what do I know? I'm just on a podcast once a week. So.
Mike saying you have to decide on a 5th-year option after year 3 for first round pick. Yeah, see, I knew something like that was coming up for sure. Can't Make an Eagle says, I agree. It's the Packers. Detroit with a first place schedule. Minnesota doesn't sign Cousins. Chicago drafts a quarterback in round 1. Yeah, it really depends on what Minnesota does a quarterback. Like if they re-sign Cousins, they're going to be in playoff contention for sure. Like especially given how good the defense was at the end of the year. Like that was their biggest question mark heading into last year. And their defense was bad in the first half of the year, but like it got better and better. At least before they had a ton of injuries in the final couple of weeks. But like I'd say like between November 1st and like December 15th, like their defense was really good. It just kind of fell apart at the end because of the injuries. John says the Lions are still favorite with Ben Johnson coming back. Yeah, I agree. I was saying that like there's like a possibility for them to be last in the division if they have a ton of injuries. And like because the division is so good, like if Jared Goff goes down, and they lose 3 offensive linemen or something like that, like they're going to be last in the division, because like all 3 of those teams are good and they're going to pass them. That's all I'm saying. Mike saying Jim Miller was actually half decent, especially for Chicago. I think he played at Michigan State. Yeah, I didn't say he was bad. He was just like he looked like a guy you would see like at the bar always, like drinking like every Friday, Saturday night. Like he's got this like beer gut. That's like what he remind me of. He did not look like an NFL player.
I can't think of what he looks like now.
Yeah. If you just real quick, just Google it. You'll see like he's got this like fat face with a goatee.
I mean, do I Google Jim Miller or Fat Jim Miller?
Well, just Google Jim Miller Bears. You'll see it.
Let me see here.
Tell me if that guy does not look like a quarterback.
I do remember him now. Yeah. I was thought like and no shade to Andrew Luck, who was a very good quarterback for the time he was in. I always thought like Andrew Luck's face, he didn't look like a quarterback either, like in the face to me. I don't know why. I'm not trying to throw any shade, but like say not as bad as Jim Miller here. But you're right. That's a perfect way to put. Like he doesn't look like a football player.
Yeah. He's like the guy you hang out with the bar and like he's just like ordering like 8 beers at a time. Like that's what he looks like.
Who do you think was the worst quarterback to win a Super Bowl, at least in our lifetime? I think that, like there's 2. I guess I shouldn't put such a negative connotation. There's 2 that really come to mind for me in the early 2000s, and one was Trent Dilfer and one was Brad Johnson. I remember for a while I was trying to think like who was Tampa Bay's quarterback when they beat the Raiders. Like, oh yeah, I was like, was it really Brad Johnson? Like I didn't even remember for a second. I did like Dilfer. I know he didn't light it up, but like I don't know. I just always kind of liked him, like when he was on the Bucs with work done. So for some reason, I was always kind of glad that he got his. But
he wasn't even. Dilfer was not the week 1 starter for the Ravens.
Tony Banks.
It was Tony Banks. Yeah, and they went a 4-week stretch without scoring a touchdown. And
5, I think.
Or was it 5? Yeah, they had to make the change, and yeah, it was obviously the right move because like Tony Banks sometimes they make mistakes, and I thought like Tony Banks is a better quarterback, like athletically and like arm wise than Trent Dilfer, but like Dilfer just didn't make mistakes. He was like the perfect game manager. And then they made a mistake of trading Dilfer. Well, not trading Dilfer, just letting him go. They traded for Elvis Gerback, just thinking that he would be an upgrade, and he just wasn't because like he just kind of ruined the chemistry of the team. Like he made mistakes and stuff like that, and like it's kind of like baffled me that the Ravens didn't understand that like that's how they won the Super Bowl. It's like great defense, great running game, with like they Priest Holmes that year, and then they got Jamal Lewis. Like
Brandon Stokely was on that team.
Yeah. So like Jonathan Ogden, who's like the biggest human being I've ever seen in person, is Jonathan Ogden. This is the weirdest thing. When I was in Miami with Charlie Campbell for the weekend of the Super Bowl, this is like a month before COVID started. There was the first Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl. Like I swear, like everywhere we went, we saw Jonathan Ogden. Like it was in the same places for some reason. He was always there, and like I remember him just being this massive human being. And like Charlie made the joke. He's like Walt, you should. He's like, you see that can that beer can behind Jonathan Ogden on the table. You should run around him. And I got around Jonathan Ogden.
So how'd that go over?
Oh, I didn't. I wasn't going to do that to Jonathan Ogden. Are you crazy? They would like pick me up and like threw me off the roof. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, that team was. I remember during that 5-game stretch where the Ravens didn't score a touchdown, they went 3-2. No touchdowns. They went 3-2, and then in their 4 playoff games, they gave up a total of 23 points. Defense of less than 6 points a game in that playoff run. The most legendary defense next to the '85 Bears, in my opinion.
Yep. So I picked them to win the Super Bowl that year. I remember on the site I had them like super high in my power rankings. I remember my friend Joe, he read the site and he's like, "Wow, you really like the Ravens?" I'm like, yeah, I love their defense. He's like, "What about their quarterback?" I'm like, "They'll figure it out."
I remember.
So good.
I remember. I have an interesting story about that playoff. So my uncle, he used to work like advertising for a newspaper, and they had like a playoff football bracket and like at his office. But my uncle didn't know anything about football, so he was like, hey, like help me out with this. Like you make the picks and like I'll turn it in. Like we'll split the money. I went as what was I in 8th or 9th grade? I went through the entire playoffs. I picked every straight up winner correct, including like the Giants to beat the Vikings, who were like a heavy. That was when they won 41-0, and I picked the Ravens to beat the Giants in the Super. I picked a perfect bracket. And I just remember my uncle called me after, like, the Ravens didn't even need to win because so many people picked Minnesota. I just remember he's like, it doesn't even matter if the Ravens win. We already got the money. Wow. It was like $300, which was like a small fortune for me, like as an 8th grader.
Right.
It was, but I will never, I'll never forget that. Like, I can't believe, like, I could never do that now. When I'm like really paying attention to it. But yeah, I picked a perfect playoff bracket as like, I must have been in 8th or 9th grade. But
it's funny that you bring that up because like I also had like unprecedented, for at least for me, like gambling success, like when I was about that age, like 14 or 15. They used to have this local sports card store near my parents' house, which was awesome. They would have like boxes of everything. It was so cool. And my dad and I used to go there every Sunday, and we used to get a box of cards and open them. It was awesome. But they used to have a pick'em spread contest for the NFL, where you'd enter and like the winner got a box of cards. You got to pick anything like under like $100, and I won. I won like 13-3 like 1 week, and I brought the paper in. I went to claim my prize, and the guy's like, "Oh, 13-3, that's pretty good," or whatever it was. It was like I think there were fewer than 16 games. It must have been like 13-2 or 12-3 or something. And so I got to win a box of cards. I'm like, oh, picking games is fun, and that was like the beginning for me.
Yeah, right. That's funny. I remember I feel like as a kid I could always like pick, before I even understood what any of that was. Of course, then I was probably picking at like 75%. Not anymore. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you guys were talking. reading the chat. Mark Rippon, yeah, that's right.
Mark Rippon, Nick Foles, if you want to count Super Bowl starter. I don't know what possessed Foles in the NFC Championship in the Super Bowl. He was an amazing quarterback for those 2 games and just did nothing else for the rest of his career.
I was, it's so funny. Like Jaworski, Randall Cunningham, McNabb, all the great quarterbacks that the Eagles have had over there. And there's a statue of Nick Foles out front of the stadium.
That's right.
That is so wild. Like, I always thought Foles was cool, though. His first stint with the Eagles in 2013, like, he did pretty well, so I was glad to see him succeed. But it's just so it's just so crazy that that's the statue.
I know. It's pretty wild. Mike America Great Again says Broncos carried Peyton Manning's corpse to the Super Bowl. He was pretty bad at that point. Manning was so bad that year. It's pretty unbelievable that the Broncos won with him. There's definitely been some other ones. Mike asking worst quarterback to ever play in the Super Bowl is Joe Cap. Trying to remember, like Stan, was the quarterback for the Chargers in '94? Was Stan Humphries? He was pretty bad. Chris Chandler, yeah, he had a decent year, but yeah, he was pretty bad.
You never really heard anything from. I mean, at least that I remember, because I couldn't. When I found out, I looked that up recently. I was like, Chris Chandler, geez, he made the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Chris Chandelier, because he always got hurt. Jimmy Garoppolo, you could count him.
How about Tony Eason on the on the '85 Patriots? That was, that was a horrific. That was one of the worst quarterback performances in the Super Bowl. Well, so was Kerry Collins. Kerry Collins for the Giants that year. Yep. They didn't. I don't think they had a play in Ravens territory until the fourth quarter. There was they never had a chance, or it's something. And I don't think they got past the 30-yard line or something. It's something outrageous. There were 7 points came on a punt return.
Yeah, and what's wild is that Kerry Collins had an amazing NFC Championship game against the Vikings.
Yeah,
but he was so bad in the Super Bowl. But it was against the Ravens, so you kind of have to excuse that a little bit, right? Yeah. Kim McGinnigal says Doug Williams or Jeff Hostetler. But Hostetler was the quarterback on my first fantasy team ever with John Elway. So I don't want to throw shade at Hostetler, but you're probably right. Easton. So what are we doing here? There's a couple other comments. Alex saying, does Russell Wilson qualify as one of the worst quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl? I mean, maybe Tom could argue he was. I thought Russell Wilson was good in Seattle, but not like the past 3 years. His play has really fallen off. But I thought Russell Wilson was really good for a while.
Yeah, I don't think he's terrible. I just think he's extremely overrated. People would talk about him all the time. All the talking heads wouldn't stop talking about him. I was like, he's all right. He's pretty good, but I just always thought he was overhyped. But I wouldn't put him in there. It did I think that's why he always annoyed me, is because of no fault of his own. He was just they talked about him way more than I thought he deserved. But Billy Kilmer.
Yeah, Billy Kilmer.
Remember
what'd you say?
Billy Volek on the Chargers. Didn't go to the Super Bowl.
No, he didn't go to the Super Bowl. He was close.
Yeah, I remember Billy Volek came in the second round against the prime Peyton Manning and the Colts. They were 14-2. And the Chargers beat him, and Phillip Rivers was injured on the sideline, screaming at the fans. I will just that sticks out so much in my mind. Is I was like, Billy Volek, who the hell's this? This game's over. I couldn't believe it.
Well, Billy Volek was he was a legendary fantasy football quarterback, because there was one year at the end of the year when the starter got hurt, and he came in along with was it Drew Bennett? They posted some amazing stats together, and they won people some fantasy championships. And so that always stand out to me is Billy Volek and Drew Bennett. And I made the mistake of making Drew Bennett the number 2 fantasy receiver the next year. And I remember just screwing that one up royally. That was such a bad prediction. And the summer after, I was at the gym near my parents' house. I still lived with my parents back then. I think I was still in college, I think. But anyway, or at least I just graduated. But so I was just working out, and a couple of my friends from grade school, they were like, hey, Walt, you screwed up Matt's fantasy team. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, and the guy was like, he drafted Drew Bennett highly because you recommended him. It's like,
oh no. Nice.
Yeah.
How do you feel about I mean, even though he wasn't the starting quarterback for the playoffs, do we put Brock Osweiler in that conversation? I mean, keep in mind, I have an unpopular opinion here. I actually, for some reason, like I always liked Osweiler. I mean, he came in; they were 5-2 when the Broncos that season. So he wasn't like a a quarterback that just sat on the side. Like he definitely earned the ring. 5-2. That's a really good record to come in into. So and then as a result, he got that. Remember, he got that big contract in Houston, and it was a letdown. But I don't know. I always thought he got like a worse rap than he deserved, maybe a little bit. He definitely had some moments that were not good, but I don't know. Like he definitely earned the Super Bowl ring, I think. And I don't know. It's like one of those players. You ever have a player like that? It's like you want them to do well, but they just don't. Like I don't know. That was Osweiler for me. I don't know why.
Yeah, he was like there was a debate about whether he should have been the quarterback going forward that year because he played well. So yeah, I guess like he gets an honorable mention, I suppose. But yeah.
Wait, who did they take out? Was it Simeon or was it Locke? The Broncos.
The quarterback to supplant Manning was Simeon the next year.
Okay,
he was a 7th round pick, and like I remember the Broncos won their first game with Simeon the next year, and John Elway he was like bragging about it or something, and like he is I think he was responding to like people on Twitter. And he's like, take that, or something stupid like that. It's like people are like, who's this Trevor Simeon? John Elway needs to do a better job. And like Simeon won the game, and like Elway was talking trash about it. But that didn't last too long though.
Well, yeah, Simeon, that didn't work out for them either, huh?
I mean, for a 7th round pick, I mean, you got to think that's a good pick,
Right.
Like he's still in the NFL at least. Like most 7th round picks don't even make the final roster. So, do you have any? I mean, do you want to any like early thoughts in this game? Like Niners Chiefs. Like you don't have to make your pick. Like what? Like maybe thoughts on this line because it's 49ers -2 now. Looks like a lot of public money's at Kansas City. Or like if you have any props do you have in mind? Like do you know who you like in this game?
Yeah, I mean, right now I like the Chiefs. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking about taking Chiefs money line. Maybe I don't know. Like I'm gonna take Mahomes over Purdy. Like I mean, I'm sure most people will. Just even though I thought that I don't really think that as we discussed that the Chiefs are that great, but I'm definitely going to take them over this. Because like the Chiefs are not going to do what the Packers or the Lions did. Like if they jump out to a big lead like that. I just really have a hard time seeing them kind of the Packers to a less extent than the Lions did, but like implode and give up a big lead. Also, I figure, and I hate to keep bringing this up because I know I'm playing right into their hands with it, but either if I bet the Chiefs money line and they lose, then I'll be glad that the Taylor Swift thing is over. But then if they win, then I'll get some money. So maybe that's part of why I like them so far too. That could definitely have something to do with it, at least. I haven't seen anything really, like the whole slew of props yet, like on DraftKings earlier today. But one, I don't know what it is, but I've taken it in the past. One prop that I think I like here is: will there be a tie after 0-0? Yes, I think this game will be tied again. Probably, I mean the line is what 2.5, so probably won't be like the greatest value, but I think this will probably be a close game and it'll be tied at some point again after 0-0. But yeah, right now I like the Chiefs, but that could change. Like I said before, I'm really not. I take no pleasure in reporting that I'm not very excited about this game at all. But what do you think so far, Walt?
Well, it's funny that you're hedging your emotions with the Taylor Swift thing. Yeah, I mean, you have to remember though, like even if the Chiefs win, the Taylor Swift thing is over because the football is not going to happen for another 7 months anyway. So, like we're not going to have to endure this for a while, like regardless. So, I don't know if I'd hedge it that way. But it does remind me of like I used to be friends with this guy and like he used to hedge his emotions all the time. Like whenever the Flyers are in the playoffs, he's like, oh, I got to bet on the other team. He's like, even if the Flyers lose, I still win. I was like, yeah, but like, yeah, but you never win completely, So I don't know.
It's true. It's true.
I never liked that too much. But
interesting. I've done it several times. I've done it against the Packers. It's usually come through, but I see what you mean. But it's worked out for me a couple times. The Penguins, I've gone against like in big game sevens.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the Penguins blow 3 different 3-1 playoff leads, and the most recent, or not 2 times ago against the Rangers, I bet the like game 7, like it took the Rangers heavily, and they won. I knew they were going to, but that's a technique I've tried before.
So Stanley had another comment. He's like, I thought I was the only one getting tired of the Taylor Swift thing. It's like, it's not.
I really don't care that much anymore. But it's like, and I hate to bring it up because I'm playing into their hands. So it's just a kind of an aside at this point. What were you gonna say?
It's like, I'm not tired of Taylor Swift. I'm tired of people talking about Taylor Swift. Like, I don't really care about Taylor Swift. Like, Taylor Swift reminds me of Meatloaf. Not the singer, but like the food. Like,
I thought the singer first too. I'm glad you clarified, because I would have been like, oh, he's talking about food.
Yeah, food. Because like Meatloaf is like, if you have meatloaf for dinner, you're like, oh, this is okay. It's fine. That's how I feel about her music. It's like, fine. Like, I don't think it's bad music. I don't think it's great though. I'd rather listen to other stuff. But like, if you ever go to a restaurant, are you ever in a million years ordering meatloaf in a restaurant? Like, I've never seen anyone do that. Like, you're ordering a steak or burger or chicken parm or whatever. Like, you're not going to order meatloaf. And like, that's how I feel about Taylor Swift. It's like, yeah, her music's okay, but like, if I'm going to listen to music, I'm going to listen to, Metallica or like whatever, or the Beatles or like Michael Jackson or Elvis or whatever. I'm not going to listen to Taylor Swift. And like, I don't get, like, her music just doesn't seem appealing to me. It's just like this is catchy, it's okay. But like, I don't know. I never realized like why she was like super famous like for her music. I think it's just okay. But like, yeah, it's just like so like she's always at the games and stuff like that, and like whenever they pan to her, like I just don't care. Like, it's like, hey, it's Taylor Swift. I'm like, I don't care. But then it's like everyone's like, oh my god, it's either A, oh my god, it's Taylor Swift, oh my god, or it's like B, it's like, oh no, not Taylor Swift again, I don't want to see this. Like, it's like, I don't like, for both sides, it's like, oh man, just
and I was guilty of the latter now, and now like I'm just trying to like. Now I'm doing it to like almost like parody myself in a way, but like it's, I don't know. I guess I don't care. I hate the 49ers too. I'm gonna be irritated at something no matter what. I'd rather the Chiefs win. I think so. I guess I am at this point still picking with my heart. That's an interesting comparison about, because I feel similarly. Like, I think her music, I think she has some good songs too, but I feel the same way about Beyonce. As another unpopular opinion. Like, I think Beyonce is really talented, but it's like people lose their mind over her. Like, it's just like, well, like, I think she's really good, but I don't understand like the hype, I guess. Same thing, see the parallel with the Russell Wilson, and now it stems to the same idea. I just think it's overhyped. So, but whatever. I really do. In the beginning, it did get on my nerves, but now I'm just like, oh, like you're just used to it at this point. So,
yeah. Harambe Slayer says, "I'm in Kansas. Please, dear Lord, don't let the Chiefs win. Chiefs fans will be even more intolerable." Like, I like Mahomes. I think he's a good guy off the field, and I mean, he's a great player too. And I like Andy Reid. Like, I have no issue rooting for them in general. It's just like this team has just been so bad all year. I feel like they just don't deserve it this year. Yeah,
exactly. And to like the whole, like, it's not that I don't like the Chiefs. I really like the Chiefs. I just don't like this version of them. And it's more than like it's far less the Taylor Swift thing than it is like every freak. It's like, here's the Chiefs game, and here's a commercial with Andy Reid and a commercial with Mahomes, and there's Travis. It's like It's like freaking Chiefs TV every damn game. It's like I'm just, and they're not even that good, and they're like, that's the frustrating thing about it. Sorry to sound off here, but like seriously, it's like State Farm commercial with Mahomes. Oh, there's one with Mahomes and Andy Reid. Oh, now Travis Kelce with the McKelsey or whatever is, or
my auto, yeah, is
Actually, that one's not bad. Some of the commercials are actually pretty good, and I'm usually highly critical of them. But it's just, I guess it's just too much.
Well, if you don't like those, wait until Taylor Swift enters those commercials.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like the '85 Bears, like they were stars of the media. Like they were like maybe like the first like huge stars of the media that really helped commercialize the NFL. Like the timeline, you know. Like blaze the trail, if you will, but like they deserved it. They're one of the best teams of, you know what I mean? Like I think that's what gets under my skin more is that like the Chiefs have been slightly better than mediocre this year, and I just like that adds to it. But you know, I guess this is all designed to, you know, irritate me and get me all wound up. So I guess it's working. But
I say the one thing I like about Taylor Swift is that she really screwed over the Soros family. It's because like the Soros family like try to buy her music from her. Like they actually like bought the music from her for like $350 million, and she was like no, like you're not stealing my music. So she actually re-recorded everything, so she had like the original she had like the original music, and so she screwed the Soroses out of $350 million.
That's
cool. Like Soroses are like evil, so like I'm all for that. When I heard that story, I'm like, oh, that's pretty badass.
Scored some points.
Yeah. CX fan asking, I missed this question. Sorry. He said, what teams do you think should tank regardless if they should? I feel like the Saints and Steelers should just rebuild and mass trade away veterans. For sure. I've been saying this about the Saints for a while. Like the Saints are just like the epitome of the team that should do this. Because like the Saints are stuck in this like 8-9, 9-8, like just quagmire, you know. They're not going to be great. They're not going to be terrible. Like they're just going to be average for a while. And I feel like they if I were them, I would just have a fire sale and start over. They should have done that this year, but there are going to be some good quarterbacks next year as well. Drew Aller, Shedeur Sanders, like there's some good options next year as well. So like if I were the Saints, I'd trade everyone except for Chris Olave and some of their young defensive linemen. And just really start over. That's what I would do. Steelers, like, yeah, you could argue that. Like, at least they have Kenny Pickett. Like, you could like maybe there's some upside there. Like, I wish they would have gotten a better coordinator than Arthur Smith. Like, if they got like Greg Olson to coach up Kenny Pickett, I think I'd be more bullish on them. But the Steelers make sense. I think the Broncos are another team. Like they brought in Sean Payton to like, you know, help them win now. And like, they're just not good enough. Like they have too many holes. Like even like if they got good play out of Russell Wilson, like I still think they had way too many holes on the roster. So Denver's another one. I'll try to think of a couple more, but yeah, Denver on top of the two you said really stands out.
Why don't the Saints just start Jameis?
Yeah, well, at least that'd be fun. Like Jameis is like the ultimate like die roll, really. Like he can like one play score, like throw 80-yard touchdown, next play pick 6. Like he's just he's the best.
I will never forget the 2020 season when the Bucs won the Super Bowl. I mean, even though they won the game, I love how the Saints brought Jameis Winston in for one play against the Bucs, and he threw a touchdown pass. Like for all the grief he gave them. Like Jameis, I don't know. That still makes me laugh. It's like all the grief he gave them, and he threw the freaking touchdown pass against them in the playoff game. That was vintage.
Well, on top of that, like he tilted Arthur Smith in week 17 because I don't even know if you remember that, but like the Saints could have knelt down, but they decided to run the ball to score a touchdown.
That interview he gave was great.
Yeah, Jameis Winston was the guy who audibled the play. Like he audibled out of a kneel down and ran the ball, called for a run. So
yeah, I saw the interview with one of the interviews with him afterwards. It was pretty entertaining. So,
I love Jameis. He should be a starter somewhere. Stanley saying, "Hey Walt, I think the 49ers are going to have a hard time throwing the ball in the Chiefs, but they might have a chance of running the ball." Yeah, I mean the Chiefs' run defense is bad, as Baltimore didn't figure it out. Like the Niners are going to run the ball like pretty well against the Chiefs, so I'm pretty confident in McCaffrey having a big game. see. Make America Greatest Again says a prop I like. Neither team will reach 30 points minus 130. That's interesting. This feels like a good number. Like both defenses are good. So I think that's pretty decent.
I haven't even like really seen anything up. I mean, I wasn't
like what do you mean?
I'm sorry, I should be more specific. Like props, like on DraftKings. Oh. I can't. There were some on the Hard Rock app, but I was trying to. I mean, I guess it is 10 days before, but I would have thought that they would have some of them up. Do you see anything?
I haven't looked yet. I usually don't look until the Monday or Tuesday of Super Bowl week. So I will. I guess they're slow to put stuff up, but I mean they're gonna have it eventually, obviously. So
what's the field goal prop that's only hit like 3 times ever? It's like both teams will make a field goal over 40 yards or something like that.
It's something like I have it written down. Yeah, it's like both teams will make a field goal of it's like 44 yards. I think I can be able to tell you in a second because I always
whatever it is. I just remember thinking like, oh, that sounds like it could easily happen, and it hardly does.
Yeah, it's like that usually hits. It is let's see. Will both teams? Oh, it's only 33. Will both teams make a field goal of 33 or more in a game? This is dating back a couple years, but in the 55, so in the first 55 Super Bowls, this only happened 15 times that both teams hit a field goal of 33 plus, which is kind of crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, it really is. It seems like it would be so easy to do. I mean, I guess teams are going for it way more than they ever have. So, I mean, I guess it's probably even more advantageous to bet no on that. I think anyway.
Yeah.
Especially with the track record there.
Slew says if the Swifty Chiefs win the Super Bowl, every minute after the game is over will be insufferable, and then another barrage of ads for 2024. Yeah, I guess like you do have the post Super Bowl stuff, but I feel like you're going to see the ads regardless. I feel like they've taped a lot of the ads already, and you're going to see them soon. Like you're going to see you're really going to see those ads ramp up in like August, like regardless. You know, you're gonna see Taylor Swift in one of those commercials, guarantee it.
And I mean, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna read more comments. See if anything.
Go.
Okay, Stanley said, "Hey Walt, why are the Chiefs lying about Kadarius Toney's injury? I guess like they don't want to play him. I guess like he's terrible. He's like addition by subtraction, just him not playing. You know." Seahawks fans say Quacky, just be glad Mahomes didn't go to the Bears and have the success. That's true.
Seriously, right?
They easily. What's crazy? It's crazy is like they passed on both Mahomes and Watson, and they traded up for Trubisky.
Oh my gosh!
Like imagine, like it's one thing if they just stayed pat and just took him. They're like, no, we have to have this guy over Mahomes and Watson. Unbelievable, crazy. John says, remember the Trump tweet when he congratulated the state of Kansas and the Chiefs won? It was. I miss the Trump tweets for sure. Mike asks you, Walt, are you putting A1 sauce on the meatloaf? I'll put A1 sauce in anything. Like I'll drink A1 sauce out of the bottle. But when we have meatloaf, it usually comes with macaroni and cheese, and like I just like slather the meatloaf with macaroni and cheese. So
yeah. I don't really like steak that much. You know, I'll be honest. People look at me sideways, but I don't know. I could never eat like the fat like on steak. So like I have no reason to eat A1 anyways. Like I feel like it's so much work because I don't eat any of the fat. Like I have to cut around it, and it's like not that much food. I guess I'm kind of outing myself as a slob here, but steak not being enough food for me. But yeah, I was never like got like excited about steak, but I did like A1 the times that I did have it. So
I feel like I like steak because of A1. I mean, I would like steak regardless, but like I think A1 just makes it so much better. Like I said, I can drink out of the bottle. It's so great.
Is A1 on meatloaf like the ketchup on steak? That's people always say if you dip your ketchup or your steak, your ketchup in steak. That's a social violation. But I don't know how it all works.
Well, I mean, Trump was famous for that. Like he put his steak in ketchup, and like the media went nuts about it.
Oh, I think I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like. I love ketchup. I just doesn't feel right with steak. It just I don't know. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
not
think that's
horrible, but I don't like it. Make America Great says Cowboys should trade Dak and rebuild. It feels like they're. You know what they should do is just hire a good coach and then they could win the Super Bowl. Like like they're so close. I feel like they're right there. Like you know what's wild to me is like Dan Quinn was like lauded as this great coaching candidate. Of like, if he's so great, why didn't Dallas just fire McCarthy and promote Dan Quinn?
Yeah.
It's like I don't understand anything that happened with Dan Quinn. This was so bizarre.
I looked up I found it. Remember when they lost to the Packers in the wild card round? Jimmy Johnson was screaming at him at halftime. On the halftime, he was pissed, man.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty hilarious. Like you could tell, like Jimmy Johnson was like legitimately irritated about how poorly Dallas played in the first half.
They welcomed him back and everything, and put him in the Ring of Honor and everything. Yeah. Like he's finally welcomed back to the team, and so when your team is playing the stupid football, then
he was like it was legit. He's legitimately pissed.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you saw the story that Charlie Campbell posted on our site, but I don't know if you guys may have heard on Tuesday, but apparently Jerry Jones was super close to firing Mike McCarthy, and he was talked out of it. I don't know by whom, but he was talked out of it. And if Jerry Jones had fired McCarthy, one of the people he was going to interview for the head coaching job was Jason Witten. Jason Witten, by the way, is coaching high school football right now.
Wow.
So I don't.
You think he'd be better in the booth or in the?
Oh God, he's so bad in the booth.
He's only in there for 1 year, right?
Was it 1 year? I thought it wasn't 2. I thought it was 2, wasn't it? Maybe it was 1. Maybe it felt like 2, but
he was on Monday Night Football, right?
Yeah, it was Monday Night Football. Yeah. I don't think he would have hired Jason Witten. I think he would have done that as a courtesy, like maybe get his name out there. I think that would have been I don't think he would have hired Jason Witten. Well, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he would have blown him away in the interviews or something. But I doubt, based on his Monday Night Football performance, I doubt that. Can't Make It Equal says Taylor Swift is famous for a poor choice in men and the songs she wrote about them. Now she's supporting Biden. I mean, she's a stupid celebrity. Like, of course they're gonna support the corporate establishment guy. But I do like what she did to the Soroses, though. Like, I think that should get her mentioned. I think more people should talk about that. I don't know. Like if she endorses Biden, it's not going to sway too many votes. Like it might be a couple thousand, but like it won't. I don't think it'll move the needle. I mean, think about how many people, how many celebrities endorsed Hillary Clinton in 2016. That did nothing. Like Hillary Clinton had so many celebrities on stage with her like throughout the whole campaign. It just no one cared. Like I don't think people's political opinions are going to change based on what some celebrity thinks. Like maybe for 18, 19-year-olds, maybe voting for the first time. But I think like people have their mindset and like aren't going to be swayed.
I agree. I don't know how much impact that really has either. I would say probably minimal.
I think if she endorses Biden, it might sway like 5,000 to 10,000 votes, which is like not a lot at all throughout the whole country. It's really like. It's almost nothing, but that's my guess. Harambe Slayer says, so I'm trying to pick an under. Is Snead going to be covering Debo or Ayuk? I was wondering that too. I can't tell you for sure. I think it's Ayuk because he's the more conventional receiver. It's tougher to cover Debo because like he's used on end arounds and whatnot. So I would go under on Ayuk personally, but that's just a guess. I was trying to figure that out too. Good. Were you gonna say something?
Oh no, I don't really have an. I'd have to see what the lines are and everything for those props before I say anything.
Okay. Kenny Eagle says, and I cringe every time I see Kelsey lift his shirt sleeve to show a bandage. Yeah, you disagree? Look up Matty DeGarry.
It's just that it's every commercial and it's like 3 commercials in a row. Like it's like Chiefs. It's Chiefs TV. Which of Kelsey and Taylor Swift, I think Kelsey is more insufferable than Taylor Swift. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I just it's every. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. I think it was 3 commercials in a row. Is different, you know, Mahomes or Kelsey or Andy Reid, State Farm, and then you know whatever else they have going on. It's like okay, like I don't know, like you ever have like a. It's like an overplayed song, you know. I mean, and I do like some of the bundling one where he's like, okay, guys, in the locker room, like 2 words, bundle, home, and auto. Like that's 4 words. Not if you bundle them. I actually think that one's pretty good. Like it's they pull it off well, and usually you know those sorts of commercials don't make me laugh. But so it's not even it's just overkill. You know, like you ever have. I mean, there's plenty. Like think of like really like great hit songs that everyone loves. Like that maybe. Like there's some song like "Don't Stop Believin'" by Journey. It's like a great song, but I hope I never hear it again. It's just overplayed, and that's kind of how I feel about this version of the Chiefs. It's just overplayed for me. So I'm just kind of tired of it. I'm glad we worked this all out together on the Walt football family therapy sessions here. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Everybody.
You didn't even have to pay for therapy. You just
exactly. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Mike says Kenny is the A1 hater. Yeah, Kenny and I had a heated debate about A1. We almost went to blows. And I'm just kidding, but
he's not going to be on the show next week.
right. No, he shocked me with his A1 hate. I was like, Kenny, you're crazy. But he does not like A1 sauce. Mahomes is or used to be. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Mahomes was a ketchup guy too. He used to talk about that. He used to put ketchup on steak. Yeah. I mean, there's A1 sauce. You know, if there wasn't, maybe you make the case for ketchup. I don't know. Not a big fan. There should be a D prop for 2024. Cowgirls finished 12-5. Yeah, they're basically locked in for 12-5. I agree. I would rather have SAS just for entertainment value. Stanley says, "Hey, Walt, what happened to the 49ers run defense? It used to be very stout, but recently they've been gashed. What I think happened is like the Niners have beaten up on terrible teams." And so those teams haven't been able to run the ball in them. It's kind of like I think Dallas had the same thing. Well, like if you look at the number of yards Dallas allowed throughout the year, it was like very low on the ground. But like it's because they were so far ahead of these bad teams that they just they didn't allow a lot of rushing yards. EPA wise, the 49ers are 17th against the run. So there is a weakness there, and I think Pacheco could have a good game because of that. Like because it's not gonna. This game's not going to get away from either team, I don't think. I'd be shocked if this game's a blowout.
What about Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Start him on DFS?
Oh, my God, no. He's so bad. So bad. Mike says Jason Witten versus Jeff Saturday. Yeah. Who's the worst? Yeah. Let's see. John says he'll get the highly coveted preteen female vote. Yeah. But... I mean, really, like if you don't need an ID, like anyone could come in and vote. My sister actually had her vote stolen from her in 2012. She showed up to vote, and they're like, "Oh, you already voted." She's like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "No, someone signed your name here," and she couldn't vote in the 2012 presidential election. She couldn't vote.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Just signed her name, and they voted for it.
Yeah, really.
CX fan says, "I just wish politics would stay out of sports altogether." Yeah, seriously, that'd be great, but it's too late for that. I think politics has become like mainstream. I think ever since since ever 2016. I think when Trump first ran for president, I think that like the media hated him so much, that they spread all this fake stuff about him, and then people got angry about him, and then like I think it escalated even more in 2020 when there was no sports except for like golf, and so like people could do nothing except for like they could binge stuff on Netflix, but like once they watch everything, they're like just let's see what's going on Twitter, and like whatever you see on Twitter is just like political nonsense, like back and forth.
Everyone was watching Tiger King and stuff,
right? Tiger King was so bad. I don't get. That's something I didn't get either. Like,
wait, are you being serious? Hold on.
Yeah, Tiger King. Yeah.
You didn't like it? You didn't watch it.
Dude, it was terrible. My wife and I, like, all we heard is like Tiger King. We're like, oh, what's this? And so we watched it one night during dinner. We watched an episode and a half, and like, we like both looked at each other. We're like, is this gonna get good? Like, I'm like, what are we watching? And my wife's like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I'm like, yeah, I don't either. Why was it good? Can you tell me?
I love the way you were. Why? What can I tell you? I don't Seriously. Know if I can. I really, I don't know. I just like to see like other weird stuff that's going on in the world. Like see how people are like. I thought it was really interesting. I mean, I think because we were all stuck in our houses, and it just kind of. I think the timing of it was, was had a big impact on it too. I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting story. Like I can't. Like sometimes you think like like what's like all the different types, or have a good idea of like what other people might be like, and then you see something like that and you're like, wow, I don't know. I just like to observe people, and I thought it was a pretty wild story, but that's interesting. I really haven't heard any. What's funny? They eventually came out with the second season, and I never even was interested in checking it out though. After I watched the first one like a lot of times. But I'm not sure I really have met too many people that said they didn't like it. That's interesting. I respect it.
I mean, it's not like I didn't like it. I thought it was like one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Well, tell me. Tell me what you didn't like about it.
It was boring. What's the point of it? Like, it's just like it's so stupid. There's no point to it. It's just like I could have just like walked. I could have like walked around the grocery store and listened to people's conversations. It would have had like more entertainment value. I don't know.
Yeah, but then you have to leave the house. So.
I don't know. I mean, I never leave the house anyway. It'd be anytime I leave the house is a special occasion. I actually said this on I had a meeting with my ad partners on Tuesday, and we were talking about like how we had a blizzard here. I was like, and they're like, oh, I hated to clean off the car. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't clean off my car after the blizzard. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I only leave my house on Wednesday to take my son to swim lessons. I never leave the house except for that. And like, so we had the blizzard on Friday, and by Wednesday the snow was gone. I was like, I didn't have to clean my car off.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I don't leave the house much either anymore, especially since I've been streaming. But
yeah, I mean, I work from home. My kids are home most of the days, like, and my wife will pick up my son from daycare. Sometimes I'll do it, but sometimes like I'll be working, so she'll have to do it. So yeah, I just never leave my house. I used to go to the gym all the time, but like now with two kids, I go to the gym like once every like 3 weeks or 4 weeks if I'm lucky. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, John says John McDermott disagrees as a known terrorist sympathizer. Yeah. Yeah, like NBA supporting BLM. Yes. Yeah. Don't support communist organizations. Grade Cliff Kingsbury to Raiders hire. Did that just happen? I had not heard that. Kind of curious if that just happened. Cliff Kingsbury's terrible. Why would the Raiders hire him? Okay, it's Schefter. It's just 5 hours ago. I guess I was eating dinner. No, 7:35. I was putting my son to bed, so I didn't hear that. Raiders are expecting to hire former Cardinals coach Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator. So they're expected to hire. They haven't done that yet. I don't know why. Like Cliff Kingsbury just is proven to be a terrible play caller. I think that's a terrible decision. Yeah, if this happens, and I assume it'll happen, I think it's an F. I think he sucks.
Ooh.
It's a disappointing start to Antonio Pierce's tenure as a real head coach. Kim Making says, "Is there a Purdy versus Mahomes most rushing yards? Purdy had more rushing yards than Jackson." That was bizarre because the props killed me last week. I had Mahomes over rushing yards that failed by like 8 or something. I had over Jackson rushing yards that failed by like 10. And yet like Purdy had more than them, both of them, not combined, but both of them. And that was so weird. Like Jackson just didn't run. He ran 8 times. It's like, what are you thinking? So I don't know. Stanley says, "Hey, Walt, I find it surprising that only one team was interested in Belichick. Why is that?" I think it's because he wants the GM job, like he wants control of front office stuff, and like if you give like it's funny because like if you give Belichick the personnel decisions for just defense, like he probably have a great defense, but like he has severe issues like picking offensive players. Like think about the receivers he's drafted over the years: N'Keal Harry, Tyquan Thornton recently. At running back, he drafted Lawrence Maroney in the first round. Quarterback Mac Jones. Like the tight ends he drafted in the third round recently. Belichick has drafted so many bad offensive players, but usually like he finds these defensive gems. And so like I feel like Belichick's like, hey, I want front office say. I'm like, I'd be like, hey, if you can pick the defensive players, but we'll find someone to pick the offensive players. I wonder if you would go for that. And if you think like, hey, that would never happen. Actually, the Raiders did that with when John Gruden and Mike Mayock were there. John Gruden would pick the offensive players, and Mike Mayock would pick the defensive players.
That makes sense. I mean, I think we were talking about it last week or the week before. It's like, what is a Bill Belichick coaching interview like? What is that like? You know what I mean? It's like, well, you know who I am, right? So, like, right. You've seen my work, but
you know what you should do? It's just wear his Super Bowl rings. Like, why do you think I should have this job? Like, oh, look.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, when you interview with the Falcons, like you know my work very well, you know.
Right.
You know, so like, I mean, I feel like that is definitely has a big impact on it. What you said there.
Notorious TPG saying the Raiders are trading up to 1 to take Caleb. That'd be pretty wild. Trade for Kyler. That's interesting. I think it's gonna be tough to move Kyler, but I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Cliff Kingsbury wants Kyler Murray though. Like, it's not like he had great success with him. Ian Rappaport says Raiders also interviewed Chip Kelly twice. Interviewed Pierce. Like, why would you interview Chip Kelly twice? Like, once would be enough. Like, well, what is he going to say the second time? I don't know.
Wait, is that for real? Like, they really interviewed Chip Kelly?
I'm just reading stuff that's on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like Anchorman here. I don't know. You could say complete nonsense. Like, Raiders interviewed Rosie O'Donnell to be offensive coordinator. Like, oh wow, that's interesting. Cassandra says, I think it's the other way around. Belichick is probably only interested in one team this year. Okay. I mean, Belichick said, I remember this quote. He said that I'm looking for a team, an underachieving team that could win this year. And I think that was Dallas. And Dallas, for some reason, kept McCarthy. When, like, you'd think Belichick could put them over the top, but, you know. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe Jason Witten would have taken the job instead.
I would certainly pick a lot of people over McCarthy. I mean, as a scorned Packers fan, I mean, I just, you know, he won a Super Bowl with Green Bay, but it's just he's his track record otherwise is geez. Remember that NFC Championship game against the Seahawks? It's like, dude, that was worse than Dan Campbell in the NFC Championship game. That was worse than that. He was kicking like field goals on the one. It's like, bro, just go for it, man.
I know. John says, would you rather have Murray or Aiden O'Connell? I mean Murray. Like, Murray has his issues. Like, he is famous for not studying film, and he gets injured a lot. But I don't know. Aiden O'Connell, I don't know if he has the talent to be a starter. Like, I feel like he could be a really good backup for a while. But I think Murray's like actual starting material. Then again, I guess you have to factor in contract too. So, I don't know. I think you can make a case for O'Connell, I guess, with factoring contract. Harambe says, okay, after using the props, looks like based on the lines that Snead will be on Ayuk. Okay, that makes sense. I think he will be on Ayuk, but that's just a guess.
They're saying that Chip really was a candidate. Oh, sorry. Go
ahead. John says Chip was a candidate.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, I don't know why, but sure. Seahawks fan says, I like the idea of Cliff King coaching the first 8 games, Quinn the last 9, and Belichick in the playoffs. The Cardinals will always start hot. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Kingsbury probably looked damn good after two Kelly interviews. Yeah.
Remember when the first Eagles game under Chip Kelly, and people were like, oh, they were freaking out when they put up they threw up a 50 burger on Washington, I think.
Yeah.
But the game ended up like I think the first play was a bomb to Deshaun Jackson from Michael Vick, if I'm not mistaken, and everyone was freaking out at how good they were. And then it was, you know, they did make the playoffs. They lost the first game to the Chargers, to the Saints rather, the Chargers. But yeah, isn't it so funny like how that change ends so quickly? Oh, Chip Kelly's like the new.
Yeah,
They lost. Yeah, after that, I remember they lost the next game too to the Chargers. That's probably what I was thinking of the Chargers.
yeah. They looked great in that preseason game. Remember that against the Packers?
Yeah,
They got so much hype. I remember fading the Eagles that year. It was great. Um, We had a question here from someone. Any chance Daniels goes before May? Yes. Actually, I don't. Charlie Campbell reported this, and I didn't ask him which team. Not that I could say, but like he said that one team has Daniels over Caleb Williams. Actually, now like it's really like these teams have different opinions on the quarterbacks. I've said this before, so forgive me if you've heard it, but in the 2017, I had the ahead of the 2017 NFL draft. I was asking one team what they thought the Niners are going to do, and I know the VP personnel on this one team, and because I couldn't figure out what the Niners pick was going to be, so I just asked him like what his opinion was, and he's like, I don't know what they're going to do, but I really hope they don't draft Patrick Mahomes number 2 because they're going to be scary with Mahomes. So that was before they got Garoppolo. So he thought that the Mahomes is good enough to go number 2. And then I asked him later, I was like, what do you think about Deshaun Watson? Or maybe this was earlier. I can't remember when. I asked him about Deshaun Watson, and he said, oh, I have him graded in the 3rd round. So like, and this is a guy who's been successful drafting players. Like he's had a good track record. He still has his job. It's just, it says a lot for 2017. And like it's crazy that like he had a 3rd round on Deshaun Watson, who ended up going in the 1st round, and before the whole massage thing, like he was considered one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. So it's pretty crazy. Like teams will have different draft boards. So like it didn't surprise me at all to hear that Daniels is number 1 on some team's board. He could be 3rd on another team's board. It's I don't know. It really depends on who the Redskins fall in love with. It could be either one of those two guys. So yeah. Do you think RJ Davis, point guard North Carolina, is the best player in college basketball? To be honest, I have not watched a minute of college basketball. I usually don't until March. Like I'll watch the conference tournaments. That's like when I first watched college basketball to get ready for the tournament. But I haven't especially with football on, I haven't been able to pay attention. Like once football ends, like I pay more attention. I'm obviously following the NBA right now. Our NBA picks have been great recently. So like I'm following that, but like I haven't gotten to college basketball yet. So
yeah, I really don't follow. I mean, I'll check out some of the tournament games, but I never really. I mean, when I was younger, I really loved college basketball. Remember, Christian Laettner, Marcus Camby. Oh, those are 2 of my favorite college players of all time. But I just don't follow it really anymore. So I can't really weigh on that either.
Yeah, we have 2 people saying Chip Kelly is a candidate for the Redskins offensive coordinator. Like, what are the Redskins doing? KB Kinnickle says, I understand Belichick won a bunch of Super Bowls. Putting Matt Patricia's offensive coordinator was offensive. Must be losing it. You know what? Andy Reid did the same thing with Juan Castillo, who's he was the offensive line coach, a really good offensive line coach the Eagles had for a long time. And then he made Juan Castillo the defensive coordinator for some reason, even though he's an offensive guy. And like that was like the same gaffe that Belichick had. I think it's just like arrogance at that point. It's like, hey, I can do whatever I want. I'm this successful. Hubris. Yeah, John says hubris by Belichick. Yeah. I think that was definitely a hubris move from both him and Reid with the Castillo thing. The boss asking any NBA futures off the top of your head or MVP. Tom, do you have anyone? I haven't honestly looked at like NBA championships.
Yeah, I put a futures bet on the Magic to win the Eastern Conference. Since I've done that, I'm a lifelong Orlando Magic fan. I can't even remember what I got it at. I think it was like 70-1. But like the Magic are a team on the come up. Like if they make the playoffs, like you definitely have, and I think they will. The East is really strong this year, so that's more of a future. Like, do I think that they're going to win the finals? I mean, no. A lot of things would have to happen. Do I think they're a team on the come up? Yeah, 100%. And I'm not just saying that because they're my team. This is the first I've been excited about them for a while. So if you're still getting them at a good number and they even make the playoffs, like you have a good hedging opportunity right away. And then they've been hanging tough. They've taken some dumb losses lately, but they're gonna be good. They're starting to build a nice core. So, but other than that, I haven't looked at too much. But I will say this: I was talking about this with my group about the Boston Celtics. Kind of like like the Eagles is a better example, is the best example for the NFL. Like there's after you do well for a while, a team is going to start trending down a little bit, and while they'll like look really strong for a while, you can just kind of tell like they're not going to make it. Even though they've had success in the past, and I think that applies to the Boston Celtics this year. They're playing, they have a great record. I'm pretty sure they're still the have the best record in the NBA, but something's definitely missing. Like they're like only winning they're winning games that are too close against teams they should destroy. They almost lost to the Pistons during that 80-game losing streak. Something's missing from the Celtics, so I would just be hesitant, if you were looking at them, despite their record, something's missing from them. I'll be surprised if they like go to the finals this year. So that's all I got on that.
Yeah. I don't think I take Boston. If I had to go with one of the favorites, I pulled it up here if you guys are watching. I think I would go with let me actually hide this comment so you guys can see all the odds. Like of the favorites, I think the Clippers at 7-1. I mean, they're playing so well, and actually, never mind. I think actually the Bucks at plus 550, I think would make the most sense.
The Thunder at 17-1. That's not too bad. They've been playing well.
A team that's been playing really well, that has great odds right now is Cleveland at 42-1. I don't know. I want to actually see for sure. Like I bet against them the past couple of nights because like their spreads in their game have become like so astronomical because like they've been on fire and like I think there's just an overreaction to their spreads. Cleveland right now is 30-16. They have won. They are 12-1 in their past 13 games. They beat the Clippers at home by 10. They beat the Bucks. They split with the Bucks. They had a home and road with the Bucks, and actually two road games in a row against the Bucks. They split those. They beat the Magic by 27. Actually, no, they beat the Bucks again. They beat the Bucks twice, 2 out of 3 times in a span of a week. They beat the Bucks by 40. Now I don't know who didn't play in that game, but like this team has been on a tear. They're great. They're great defensively. They have a lot of like talent. I think that at 42-1, like that seems mispriced. Like I like, are they going to win? Probably not, because like I think like the NBA is much worse to bet futures with because like it's generally like one of the favorites. Like, and so it's probably going to be like one of these top 5 teams that wins. But like Cleveland is just mispriced. Like they should be like 20-1 or 21-1. Like they should not be 42-1. So I think that you're getting a great value here. So if I had a bet, I think I would take the Bucks at plus 550 and then like take a long shot at like Cleveland to 42-1 or something.
Yeah, people are in the chat talking about a couple people are saying LeBron is holding the Lakers back. The thing about that, like even at 33-1, I just feel like as long as LeBron's on the team, like anything can happen. And there's also like the narrative angle, like does the NBA want LeBron to get another one? Because I also feel like he could like turn it on. You know what I mean? They made it to the Western Conference Finals last year, didn't they? Or was it second round? I can't remember now. They definitely did a lot better than I thought they were going to early in the season.
They had an easy first round, and then I think they got they got dismantled by Denver, right?
Denver, yeah, they got swept.
Yeah,
but
I thought, and like all the games are close, like all of them were close.
Yeah, I do remember that now, but I don't know. I just think, especially like if you believe in like the LeBron narrative that they might choreograph some things, perhaps if you're of that belief. And I think 33-1 is a decent number. I mean, he didn't play tonight, and Anthony Davis didn't play tonight, and they beat the Celtics. So I mean,
yeah, it's hard to judge any results in January though, or I guess we're in February now, but like,
it really is. I'd be hesitant. As good as the Timberwolves have been, I'd kind of be hesitant with them just because of their lack of playoff experience. Well, go ahead, Walt.
No, I'm just saying that like the NBA season's so long. It just it's tough to judge anything. Yeah, I wouldn't take the Lakers. I think they're a little too old. LeBron like now is not. I mean, he's not what he used to be. Like he's a great player. He used to be a great player. No, he's still really good, but he's not like what he was.
Right. But I mean, I don't know. I just always feel like they're a team, like any team LeBron, like you just kind of can't count them out for, whether it's, you think it's because of an angle or because he can still play or whatever. But I mean, I really haven't been watching a whole lot of NBA until recently anyway. So I don't know what the situation with him is, like how much rest they're giving him and whatnot, other than I know he didn't play tonight. But
yeah, I was like, I wish NBA started at Christmas because I don't follow it until the regular season's over for NFL. And so it's like the day after the regular season's over, I start posting my NBA picks every year. We've been pretty hot. Like I think we're up now for the year, and because we were down a bit, but like now we're up. I think I hit four or five straight sides in a row. Like we had Memphis tonight against Cleveland. But like I do like the way Cleveland's playing overall. Like Evan Mobley hasn't even been playing like in this recent hot streak of theirs. Like he's a really good player. So like when he gets back, they're going to be even better. So like yeah, they are mispriced. I think the Kings have a lot of talent.
I think so
their defense has gotten better. That was their issue last year. But like now it seems like the defense is a lot better. So yeah, Cleveland and Sacramento at 42 and 46 to 1, I think are the best values to answer that question about any long shots futures.
Yeah. I got to well now. I was going to say I should, with football season, almost at the end here, I should start giving out. I was going to say I could give out a hockey play because I think NHL is probably my best sport. Usually when I text you with an NHL play, they're usually pretty solid. I should have kept track of the ones that I text you. Because I feel like they hit it like 80%. It's not every single day, and I'd give out a hockey play, but it's the All-Star break, so there's nothing going on until next week. But you're on fire sometimes in hockey. Like you get on these heaters and like you win, like it feels like you win like 10 in a row. It's insane. I'll start next week. I'll do that. That way we have some more stuff to go over as well, since it's just the Super Bowl. Someone was mentioning and I see Stanley mention, the Knicks. I'll tell you what, that's a team on the come up, especially Brunson has been looking really good. I really noticed them last year. I mean, I think a lot of people did. But yeah, that's a dark horse. I mean, 24 to 1, I guess I feel like that's about right. But they're a team that I definitely think could make some noise. For sure. They could
definitely do it. Like their defense is really good. Julius Randle's out right now, but like that's not like a long-term thing. So their defense is awesome. They have a chance. I didn't bring them up because I thought the number was right. Like I think New York and Cleveland should be priced the same. I think that 24 to 1 seems about right, So
right. You want to bring, I mean, unless you got to go, you want to bring up hockey futures real quick before we go?
Yeah, that would be the last thing because we're coming up in 2 hours. But yeah, we can do that. I have nothing to say about this. I don't know anything about hockey, so I'll let you go. So who do you like here for NHL?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I can't believe 90 to 1. The Detroit Red Wings. That's a team. They didn't make the playoffs last year, but I noticed them last year that they're another team that's starting to really gain some momentum. And they're, I mean, what are they? Just like a couple points out of a playoff spot here right now. At 90 to 1, I definitely think there's value, especially in hockey. Anything can happen in hockey. Like basketball, like the low seeds, they're hardly ever, unless there's an injury or something. The low seeds are very rarely going to be, like a top seed or 2 seed. But in hockey, that doesn't. It really doesn't matter. The Sabres too. I really liked the Sabres before the season began, and they've really kind of disappointed me this year. But anything can happen. It really doesn't take much in hockey to turn things around. And as long as you get in, the playoffs, the seeding doesn't matter almost at all. Like I said, the X factor is always the goalie. If your goalie gets hot in the playoffs, it doesn't matter what you're seeded. So I feel like hockey with futures, you can take there's more chance to take advantage of value here. And the Red Wings at 90 to 1. Oh, I actually might take that after the show here. That's a really good number, I think. Sabres might be worth a sprinkle too, John. If they can play up to the potential that I thought they were going to this season, and maybe reel off, a nice 5-6 game win streak or something, and be right back in the thick of things, that would make that that 250 to 1 look real good. So yeah, that's not a bad. I mean, they're gonna have to step it up here a little bit in the second half, but it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility by any means. I think it's a good number.
Yeah, I mean, I might go with you on that on the 90 to 1, but
I like the red one.
Yeah, if you do any prop betting, just make sure you shop around, get the best number, because like the Red Wings are 90 to 1 here, and it may seem great, but like what if they're 110 to 1 somewhere else? Like definitely shop around, and we have some in the description. The bottom link, the bottommost link, you can actually get like bonus bets depending on where you go. Like it takes you to this page. I'll show you guys this real fast. This is pretty cool that they set this up. Like you have like BetMGM has like bet $5 get 158 in bonus bets. Like DraftKings gets get 200 in bonus bets. Like make sure you get those bonus bets, because the sports will screw you over at the vig. It's because like -110 vig, like you have to win 52.3% of your bets. Like this is a way to counter that, is to get bonus bets with your bets. And it's like it's free money. Like sure, you can't like take it out right away, but like you're gonna bet anyway, right? So like you might as well get the bonus bets. And this page has like all the best deals, so definitely make sure you take advantage of that. Like I can't preach that enough, because like like having something to offset the 110 big is just like huge. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and have multiple accounts at different sports books so you can shop around. So that is enormous. So anyway, John, last question here. Why do you think the NHL has more parity than the other sports? Like you said, it's the goalie who gets hot. Is that it, or?
I mean, all right. John Sanders wrote hard salary cap too there. That certainly would have something to do with it for sure. I would imagine, but like I feel like it's different from any other team sport. The goalie controls so much. If they're all of a sudden a brick wall, I mean, you could win 1-0 technically. Like you don't have to be great. I think it sets itself apart from any other team sport because of that. I mean, I've seen that happen many times. I mean, Jonathan Quick on the Kings, they were the 8 seed, and they won the Stanley Cup. What was that? 11-12. I think they were the 8 seed that year, so it can definitely happen. I was telling Walt just the other day, in 2006, that was the year that the Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup against the Oilers. Oilers were the 8 seed, and the first round in the West that year, 5, 6, 7, and 8 won. So it's not uncommon. And look at the last 2 years with or the last couple of years when Tampa Bay had a record-breaking regular season. They got swept by the 8 seed Blue Jackets that year. And then the Bruins had an even better season than that, another record-setting season. They lost in the first round. So it happens all the time. It happens all the time. And I really think it just has to do with, mostly, there's other things too, but the goalie is the biggest factor. You get hot at the right time.
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay. Well, there we have it. We're 2 hours in, so I think it's time to sign off.
Some of the weeks where we had like 16 games, we've gone shorter than this.
I know. I mean, it's a therapy session. We needed the 2 hours, so
yeah, exactly. We appreciate everyone being here for it. So
yeah, for sure. Thanks everyone for commenting, watching. Really appreciate it. Love this community. It feels like it's growing every week. And love having you on every Thursday, Tom. Can't wait for next Thursday when we break down the game. But yeah, anything to plug here before we head out? Like your Twitch channel, for example.
Yeah, well. Come check me out on Twitch. I've been streaming some Mario Kaizo hacks. I'm probably going to be on there probably in about half an hour after the show ends too, doing a stream. It's just me talking and playing video games and reevaluating my own personal biases and music, movies, and media. So it's a good time. Walter was hanging out on a couple of them. We had a good time. So yeah, give me a follow on there, QuackyT, Twitch, and on Twitter. TikTok, if you have it, would love to see you guys on a stream. Appreciate the support.
Yeah, I was in there. I was in there last week, just commenting a little bit. So yeah, I'll tweet out the link when Tom goes live. So yeah, definitely check that out if you're interested. Seahawks fan says you didn't break down the game of the year, the Pro Bowl. I've
Oh,
never
shoot.
watched the Pro Bowl. I've never watched it. Ever. There's no interest. I've watched fourth quarter preseason games. I've never watched the Pro Bowl.
That's on mine.
John says thoughts on minus 110 odds on 4K subscribers for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, don't tempt us, John. I'll send out some mass marketing to get it done if we're taking bets.
I'll have to make 62 fake accounts to.
Yeah, exactly. No, only 31. I'll do the other half.
Okay. Cool.
I'll help you out. I can do that.
Well, yeah, we'll have to get Kenny and Jacob to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Split it 4 ways, so that'll work.
It won't be as hard as it originally seemed, I guess.
So it's 15 and a half for all 4 of us, so it's not bad. Get my wife to do it too. Yeah, we can get.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, guys. I'll be back. I'll be back Saturday just to have like a brief preview and stuff like that. We'll do probably like an hour or so on Saturday, and then normal schedule next week. We have Tuesday with Jacob, Wednesday with Kenny, going to break out in DFS. Tom's going to be back on Thursday, and then Saturday notes the night before the Super Bowl. So looking forward to all that. Tom, once again, thanks for coming on. It's always great to have you on, and everyone else, I will talk to you on Saturday.